Hi, and welcome to the Smart Girls Guide to Real Estate. I'm Jamie Hearn. Today, I'm super excited to spend time and share the wisdom of my close friend, Tamar Altshuler. She is the founder of the Mind Method and certified life coach. The Mind Method is a company dedicated to helping people rewire their thinking for success. As a certified life coach, she specializes in cognitive behavioral therapy, neuro-linguistic programming, and the law of attraction. Tamar's journey started when she overcame severe anxiety, leading her to the discovery of true power of the mind. Now she shares her expertise with others, helping them unlock their full potential. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
I'm super excited to share just a couple amazing nuggets that you and your fantastic husband have really used to catapult your success in life and the impact you're creating in the world.
Yeah, okay. Oh, think of nuggets. I've got lots of nuggets.
No pressure, because honestly, conversation with you, they just flow. So
I always have
can
lots to say.
So let's start with a little bit of your backstory. How did you end up starting down the path of personal development and learning how to really use your mind to change your reality?
Yeah. Look, when it started for me, it was about 5 years ago. And I did not set out to do personal development or learn about my mind. It actually happened as a result of me developing a really severe anxiety and panic disorder, which for years I didn't even know that I had nor identify with. And if you had told me that I had anxiety, I would have thought that, you were probably speaking about somebody else because there's no way that I had anxiety. I was just someone who was very high strung. But I had a series of traumatic events happen in my life that I went to therapy for, but never quite, I guess, got closure on. And what ended up happening is because I repressed my emotions, my anxiety started to manifest itself very physically. And it started off slowly at first, as anxiety often does, with really small pains. For me, it was pain in my neck and headaches, which then turned into migraines. And then when I still didn't pay attention or start to reflect on what was causing the pain, and instead I just medicated the symptoms, my body eventually ended up getting to a point where it just completely broke down. And I literally ended up collapsing one day in my kitchen with my two little kids at home. And my 4-year-old said, Mommy, should we call daddy?
Oh,
At 4 years old. So we did end up calling my husband, and I ended up having to go to the hospital and have every single test under the sun and MRIs and CT scans, and everything was coming back normal. And I kept thinking that either the doctors weren't doing a very good job figuring out what was wrong, or that what I had was so rare that they hadn't found it yet. And this is actually really common with anxiety sufferers because a lot of them do end up getting very physical symptoms, which they associate with something wrong with the body. And often there's not the mind body connection, which is why a lot of anxiety symptoms and sufferers end up going unidentified. And so for me, when all of the tests came back normal, I then realized that, maybe it was true that I did have anxiety. And as soon as I realized that, I decided to devote a year of my life to learning how the mind and body work so that I could learn to cope with my anxiety. And I'll tell you, in the beginning of the journey, I had a conversation on my couch with my husband where I told him that I was going to do everything that I could, but I just don't see myself being a happy person. And I just don't really think that I can tap into that state of joy that people seem to have.
I mean, the idea of facing the rest of your life with no joy, holy cow, that is so heavy.
It was really heavy. It was really heavy. And the funny thing, Jamie, is I talked to so many of my clients, and more people than you could imagine feel that way. They feel like they're having success in their job, they're really good in their field, they're making things happen, they've gotten a lot of accomplishments, but there's just something missing. And a lot of them say the same things that I said, which is, I don't know if I'm meant to be that silly, goofy, excited, passionate person. I don't even know what that looks like for me. And that was really the starting point of my company, The Mind Method, because as soon as I learned to rewire my own mind, I became extremely passionate about helping other people, because being on the other side of it now and seeing the change that you can make when you in fact learn how to harness the power of your mind, which then affects your body, because all of our realities start with our thoughts and our perceptions, because a thought that you think enough times becomes a belief, and it's your belief that creates your reality, right?
That's
And
so
so
Yeah, that's
yeah.
so powerful and such an often overlooked principle
Mhm.
that can shift things or keep you stuck in the same rut.
We learn to live from the outside in. We learn to experience life as it happens to us. And we don't often realize that we are the creators of our own realities, and that in fact, our reality just tends to be a mirror of what we think on the inside and how we feel about ourselves and the world around us.
So a lot of people may be saying, what does this have to do with real estate?
Yeah, true.
So so k- I know we're deviating a little bit
Yeah.
from the mindset work, but tell us about the company that you and your husband have built around real estate and how mindset is the foundation.
Yeah, that's such a great question. And I'll say probably 90% of our clients are all in real estate, and they come to us because they've seen our success and they say, "Oh, can you help us get the same success in real estate that you guys have?" And we say, "Sure, it starts with your mindset. Let's start setting goals and learning how to reprogram your mind." And they say, "No, no, no. I have a great mindset. That's not what I'm here looking for. I just want, give me the real estate." So we have our two businesses. We have our coaching business and we have our real estate business. And the single biggest um, piece that went into our success with real estate was, in fact, learning to set really big goals and realizing that it takes the same amount of energy to do the small stuff. It takes the same amount of energy to be a bird dog or to do a flip or to wholesale as it does to go and do an acquisition of a $4 million RV park. Right. And so a lot of our clients will come to us and they'll say, I would like to get into real estate. I've been in sub two for a year or two. Can I bird dog for you? And we say, why bird dog for us? Why not go and acquire the property for yourself and operate it for a year? And they say, no, no, no. I just don't, I'm not there yet. I'm not ready yet. And we say, well, therein is the mindset. This is why, if you are in real estate and you would like to develop your portfolio, or if you have a multi-million dollar portfolio, but you're feeling stagnant and you've plateaued and you're starting to suffer from shiny object syndrome because everybody seems to be doing really interesting things, and you're having a hard time deciding the path to go on, then again, we bring it back to the mindset. Because once you get clear on the big picture goal for your life, you realize that the real estate is just a vehicle to get there. And so it makes decision making a lot more clear.
And I love how Matt is Tamar's husband, but I love how he talks about real estate being the vehicle for that bigger purpose, passion, impact goal.
Yes. Yes.
That was really effective for me to integrate into my own journey because I have always I've been practicing law for decades, so I've looked at real estate as my goal when in fact that wasn't my goal. But that was just what got me to the next goal or is getting me there. So I'm so appreciative to have crossed paths with you guys. I was actually just this morning thinking, like, I've been on this trajectory building my own real estate portfolio and growing my own knowledge and shifting my mindset because of one word, and that word is paradigm. And I'll tell you how it came into being such a pivotal word for me. Matt posted something in one of the groups that we're in together, and I commented on that. And I said something about shifting my paradigm. And instantly we were friends because I
Instant
used
bond.
that word.
Yes, same language. I love that. Yeah, look, you're so right. Real estate is a vehicle. Now, can you have your purpose tied to your real estate portfolio and endeavors? 100%. Because as a real estate investor, operator, anything that you do within the real estate industry has the ability to really impact communities and make a positive difference for
Yeah.
the people in the markets that you are investing in. But for you, a lot of people will think that their purpose needs to be tied to the real estate or that somehow this needs to be the passion project. And what we tell people is that very often your purpose in life and the things that you are going to be really passionate about and your ability to impact and give back to humanity might be different. And they might be something completely unrelated to real estate. And in that case, the real estate should be pursued so that you have the income and the wealth generation to accommodate you having the time, energy, and ability to give back and impact other people in a bigger way, right? So they don't need to be connected. And real estate often is the vehicle for people to be able to generate a big enough income so that they can leave their W 2 and be able to make greater impact on the world around them. And that's great.
Absolutely. One of the things that has come up a lot in conversations with other investors and people in general interested in real estate is they don't dream big enough. They don't give themselves permission to step outside what they formerly looked at as enough. And I love when Matt says things like, your job is not to have enough. Your job is to have more. Like, or however he puts it. He's always got a great way of delivering things.
100% there. Guys, we need to take the stigma out of wanting more. You should want more and you should want to be wealthy. Being wealthy is a good thing. There should not be a stigma attached to it. You are not selfish if you want to generate wealth. You are not being greedy. Money is not the root of all evil. And every person should want to be wealthy because the more money you make, the more time, energy, and freedom you have, and to be able to give back to the world around you. And the more money you earn, the more money you're able to impact other lives with. So everybody should, in fact, want to be wealthy.
I love that. I mean, if anybody takes one thing away from this conversation, that is a really useful thing to start integrating into your mindset.
Yeah, people have such an icky feeling when it comes to desiring more in their own life. And in fact, a lot of people that we work with say, just want to do a little bit better. I just want to be comfortable. I don't want to ask for too much because I've always been taught that, the wealthy are greedy and there's so many different labels associated to people who have money. And we always encourage people to really get out of that limiting belief and start to understand that wealth is a really positive thing because it's a vehicle for you to be able to impact others. And that's something that you should want.
And money stories are so deeply ingrained that sometimes it's hard for us to see where our limiting beliefs are. So I think people like you as a mentor are so critical in breaking through those limiting beliefs and doing it at a really quick speed. It doesn't have to take 12 years to break down your limiting beliefs.
That's another construct that we get fed is that life is hard and you have to work really hard. And if you want to make changes, that takes a lot of time. right? Because that tends to keep us in our little box. And in fact, if we anticipate that creating wealth is hard, or that life is supposed to be hard, or that we have to work really hard, or that if we want to change, that's going to be really hard. Well, guess what? That's probably going to come true. It's called a confirmation bias. We are going to find reasons why that's true for us. And life will show us evidence of that every single day so that we can go to bed saying, see, I knew it. Life is hard. And when you realize that that's a story that you're telling yourself, and you're able to release the idea and be willing to be open to receive and start to let things flow and let your wall down and your guard down, and in fact, decide to have higher standards for yourself and the world around you, big things can happen in a relatively short amount of time. And starting to understand your relationship with money and where that comes from, and starting to realize the limitless potential that you have within you to generate whatever amount it is that you want, that can be a really big game changer for people. And they're often very surprised at how quickly that can take effect once you make the conscious decision to change how you see money.
Yeah, and this lightning speed that it occurs, sometimes I don't even notice when things shift until after the fact, and a deal comes in and it all falls into place, and I look back and I'm like, "Ooh, that happened really smooth and quick." And then I always take stock, like, what was different this time than other deals that may not have gone as smoothly? And it's almost always how I show up to the deal, not external factors.
Yeah, and that's such a good point, and I really kind of want to dig in deep into that, because you actually said something that's really important, which is that when things go smoothly, you kind of take that moment of pause and you're like, "Wow, that went easier than I thought," because we are so used to expecting things to go wrong. And I'll tell you, from an evolutionary standpoint, that is completely logical and reasonable, because we have not evolved that much since we were living in caves and had to constantly be scanning for danger or the saber-toothed tiger. And so our minds are actually programmed and designed to constantly be seeking for danger. Right? We scan our environments and we try to find danger. And since we don't have saber-toothed tigers today and our life is extremely comfortable, well, guess what? The dangers that we find and look for come in the form of our work endeavors, our projects, maybe toxic bosses that we can't stand, right? And we go into survival mode and everything is extremely tense because we're always waiting for the other foot to fall, right? And we think that this is going to be always the worst case scenario, which then causes a fear of even getting started.
Yeah, and I feel like so many of those fears are just fabricated. They're just stories that we're telling ourselves, not even our own stories, probably something someone else has projected on us.
Yeah, guys, 90% of the things that you fear are not going to happen. And, more than that, I'm sorry to say, but the things that are going to happen that are going to shake you to your core are never going to be the things that you expect, right? So when we get stuck in the mode of constantly waiting or fearing or being doubtful because we are worried that something is going to happen, then we are only inviting opportunities to see negative things happening. And then, if we look at it from an energetic standpoint and we think about the law of attraction, and if I'm losing anybody when I say law of attraction, I want to say that whether you believe in the universal laws or not, you are operating within them. And so the quicker that you start to understand them and use them in your favor, the faster you will see results. Because fear, worry, and doubt, they are not serving you well. You need
Yeah.
to be able to release fear, worry, and doubt. All they do is they cause tension in your body, they cause a lower vibration, and all of the real estate endeavors that you are trying to take when you are constantly stuck in your limiting beliefs and the worries, then you're probably missing out on opportunities that were meant for you that are trying to find you that you are blocking.
My favorite is when someone bumps up against a challenge in a real estate deal and they say, "Oh, this is the universe telling me that this isn't a good deal," even though everything else is indicating it's a good deal. That's an excuse.
I can't tell you how many times I hear that. Or people will say, "Oh, see, I knew it. I just don't think I'm cut out for this." Or people who have a really amazing portfolio and want to go to the next level will get in their own heads and think that this is a sign that they're getting too big, right? And that they need to go back. And it's like, no, no, you're putting thoughts in your own mind and you're preventing your own success.
Admittedly, I have fallen victim to that one. As I've been scaling my own portfolio, I'll get some like cherry deal for a single family residence, and I'm not interested in buying single families at the moment. I'm like, oh, well, maybe I should just buy this one. I mean, the universe presented it to me.
You know what that is? That is a perfect example of a test. That
Yes.
is you being tested to see if you are going to slip back into a scarcity mindset, and you will take that opportunity to play it small because you want to rely on the income that that is going to provide you, rather than having such a strong belief in yourself and your abilities that you are willing to turn down the smaller opportunities in order to make way for the bigger opportunities, which is what you were actually meant to do. Growth does not come without discomfort. And so, something that I tell all of my real estate and investor friends and clients is you need to get really comfortable being uncomfortable.
I say that all the time, generally in a slightly different context, but same
Mhm.
principle.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, show me a millionaire, billionaire who has not made mistakes and lost money along the way. So these are never red flags, and failure is part of the process to success. So the sooner that you realize that these challenges or unforeseen circumstances that happened, your EMD went hard and you don't have the money to, to pay the lender back, or the deal went south or didn't work out how it was supposed to, or this and that came up, it's fine. It's just part of the process. You can't get stuck and get stressed by every little obstacle, because the essence of being a successful entrepreneur and investor is the ability to become creative, to be a problem solver, and have the ability to pivot and navigate.
Absolutely. And some of the most successful women, especially in this industry and numerous other industries, always keep looking for a different angle to hone a deal or recreate a deal or make sure that it works in its most beneficial way possible and not just walk away because there was a bump in the road.
100%. These bumps should be celebrated, because everyone is an opportunity to practice being super creative and develop the ability to pivot and navigate, because on the other side of that is the building blocks to being a successful entrepreneur. This is part of the journey, and part of developing an entrepreneur mindset is the ability to see every single challenge as just another task. um I don't know if you're familiar with Brian Tracy. He's in the Bob Proctor league of the OGs in the mindset world, but he gives a
Yes.
talk and it makes me chuckle every single time because it's so bang on. It's him giving a lecture and he says, "Who in the audience is having a problem?" Right? And however many people raise their hand. And he said, "Okay, good, because we see life as up and downs, right? Either we're doing great or we're having a problem, but it's actually one and the same. And if you're not having a problem, it's probably because you're having a crisis." So when you think about it that way, you realize it's not a matter of things always having to go smoothly as a measure of your success. You are going to have challenges and you are going to have obstacles, but that's just part of the path to get to where you're going.
Yes.
So
And
that makes me
I feel
chuckle
like
every time.
if you didn't have problems and obstacles, like you're playing it way too safe then.
100%. Things need to be scary, and it's a true saying to say that you literally fail your way to the top. You're going to fail 100 times and then you're going to succeed. And it's all part of the process.
I mean, I've had numerous businesses that haven't panned out the way that I had anticipated. Like I have owned businesses from a tequila import company to a property management company. Like I've done a lot of things and some have been really amazing, others have been not quite as amazing.
And sometimes that's a part of it. And, what I would say there is for you, and, we've had conversations about this, it's always going back to creating the bigger picture, right?
Yeah.
Because often we get so busy trying to plan our next move, right? And trying to figure out what the next step is for us in our career. What is my next action step that I can take in order to generate the type of income that I want, or step into another field or area that I might be interested in? And sometimes we need to reverse engineer. We need to get really clear on the big picture that you want out of your whole life. What does an ideal life look like? Because then decision making gets a little bit more clear and simple, because every decision that you could possibly take, you only have to ask one question, which is, does this take me closer to my goal? And if the answer is yes, okay, you explore it. And if the answer is, I'm not sure, don't even do it and you move on.
Well, and if it's a task that doesn't move you closer to your goal, but is still necessary, outsource it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. 100% buy back your time. Put
Yes,
people in place that can do it better than you, so that you can focus on driving your business forward. We spend so much time as humans focusing on the things that we are not good at and trying to get better at them. And we don't spend nearly enough time celebrating the things that we are really good at and our strengths, even though those are the keys to our success. When was the last time you sat and really tried to hone in on the skills that you're already amazing at? Chances are you're probably trying to get better at something you're not as good at, right? Where you could be putting people in place, just like you said, to do the things. And by the way, they're probably going to do it better than you.
absolutely. Like, I've been talking about this with my husband. I'm a visionary. I am not an integrator. So making sure that the property taxes are paid and all of the insurance premiums are paid on all of our properties, that is not my brilliance. But there are people who love doing those linear check the box kind of things. And they contribute to my business just as much as I do.
Mhm. Isn't that funny? We live in a day and age where people are really honed in on certain expertise that they really love. And so why not allow them to shine in roles that they are great at, so that you can focus on doing the things that you're great at?
Absolutely.
And the keys to the success is going to be in your strengths. Because the more that you get to know the things that you are good at, and the more that you develop your strengths, you're going to really make a place for yourself in a way that you are able to be of service and add value to your business and really drive it forward in a much bigger way than you could trying to do all the things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a lot of people are stuck in that mindset like, "Oh, I can't afford to bring in someone to do it." And my opinion is I can't afford not to.
Your business is going to have a much higher ROI when you put people in place that are really good at the things that you are not good at, and you are able to focus on the things that you are good at. The end result is going to be a lot bigger than you slipping into the scarcity of thinking that you can't afford it.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, you have so much wisdom to share, and I encourage anyone who is interested in anything we've talked about today to connect with Tamar and dig into some of the concepts that we've shared with you today, because it really is the foundation for you to springboard into the next level of success, whatever your business is, whether you're a realtor, a wholesaler, a lender, or an investor like I am and like Tamar is. What's the best way for people to find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. I'm always active. My handle is the dot Tamar dot Altshuler. I know it's a long name. You'll probably have it in the description,
I,
Jamie.
I certainly
Um,
will.
Thank you. And we do offer several tiers of programs. So if you want to work with me and my husband, we work together. We have a 6 month intensive program. We also have a very low ticket subscription. So if you want to get introduced into the mindset world and start to integrate into an amazing community, then you can do that as well. So feel free to shoot me a message. You can also email us at info@mindmethodprograms.com.
I will include the links to some of the programs that Tamar has mentioned. And just as a little teaser, Tamar has a couple really cool things coming up in the very near future. So keep an eye out. We'll have her back to talk more about those.
Very exciting. Thank you. Ooh, that sounded so seductive. Yes, and you're absolutely right. So stay tuned.
Tamar, thank you for sharing this time and all of your amazing wisdom with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next week on the Smart Girl's Guide to Real Estate.